When you walk through a Christmas market, sipping mulled wine, buying handmade ornaments, or taking photos with twinkling lights, you're not just making holiday memories. I mean, technically you are, but you're also participating in an economic engine that supports thousands of jobs, sustains small businesses, and generates massive revenues for cities. That's the power of Christmas markets in Canada. What started as a quaint European tradition has become a serious economic engine for Canadian cities. We're talking millions in tourism dollars, thousands of jobs, and small businesses making half their annual income in just 6 weeks. Today I'm pulling back the curtain on how these festive markets actually work as economic machines. How do they create employment? What do vendors really earn? And why are Canadian cities so invested in keeping these markets going year after year? I'll focus on 3 visible ways Christmas markets affect local economies. First, their impact on employment. Second, how they drive small business growth. And finally, their role in tourism and the multiplier effects. Before we dive in, let's take a quick trip down memory lane to where it all began. In Germany, of course. Christmas markets aren't exactly new. They've been around since medieval Europe, think the 1300s and 1400s in Germany and Austria. Back then, they were practical, a place to stock up on winter supplies before the cold sets in. Now, fast forward to the 2000s and 2010s, and Canadian cities started importing this tradition. But here's the twist. They weren't just copying Europe for the aesthetic. They saw an opportunity to actually solve a very Canadian problem. Long, dark, brutally cold winters that send everyone indoors and kill foot traffic downtown. These festive outdoor gatherings have evolved from simple medieval traditions into sophisticated economic drivers that can make or break a city's tourism revenue for the entire year. Quebec City's German Christmas market, for example, drew 620,000 visitors in 2024. By the way, I have a full review linked here on my experience at the Quebec City's German market. The market went from 100,000 visitors in 2015 to approximately 680,000 in 2019. That's nearly a 600% increase in just 4 years. Today, Christmas markets are everywhere. Toronto, Montreal, Quebec City, Vancouver, Calgary. I'm sure even Saskatchewan has one. Each one drawing massive crowds and generating serious economic activity. In Quebec City alone, the 2024 Christmas market generated about $15 million in economic benefits for the region. So yeah, these aren't just cute holiday events. They're strategic economic tools that help cities stay vibrant during their deadest and, dare I say, coldest season. But how really do these markets actually impact our local economies? Let's start with the most visible impact: employment. Christmas markets are massive job creators, and I'm not just talking about the vendors selling mulled wine. Toronto's Distillery Winter Village alone employs over 700 seasonal workers, from event staff and security personnel to entertainers, maintenance crew, and vendor support staff. The market features 47 vendor cabins and 9 outdoor holiday bars, all requiring staff. Then you've got security team, maintenance crew, event coordinators, performers, the list goes on. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. These are real jobs providing crucial income during the winter months when many industries typically experience slowdowns. Think about it. A single Christmas market requires electricians to install tens of thousands of lights, carpenters to build vendor chalet, sound technicians for entertainment stages, graphic designers for marketing materials, photographers for promotional content, social media managers, customer service representatives, cleaning crews, paid duty police officers for traffic management, parking attendants, and dozens of other roles. But here's the thing, most of these jobs are temporary. We're talking 4 to 6 weeks of intensive work plus setup and teardown time. So while Christmas market do create jobs, the seasonal employment model comes with its own challenges. It's income concentrated in a short window, weather-dependent job security, and limited benefits for these temporary workers. Okay, let's get to the money. What do vendors actually earn at this market? Because this is where Christmas markets truly shine as economic engines for small businesses and entrepreneurs. For many small businesses and artisans, Christmas market generates up to 50% of their annual sales in just the last 6 weeks of the year. Let me repeat that. Half of their yearly revenue in 6 weeks. For small businesses operating on thin margins, this concentration of revenue is not just helpful, it's actually essential for survival. It's what allows them to pay rent through slower months, invest in new inventory, hire help, and continue operating year-round. But aside from revenue, what's really important is how much of that these vendors actually get to take home. And to calculate that, we need to see what their cost comes up to. Now, here's what vendors are dealing with. Their booth fees, which typically vary by city and market size. Sometimes premium spots at major markets can run into thousands of dollars. Then there's the inventory costs, as vendors need to produce enough stock to actually last them through weeks of continuous selling. Then there's transportation and accommodation, especially for vendors coming from outside of town. These costs add up very fast. But here's why markets are so valuable for small businesses. First, there's no middleman. When you sell through a retailer like Amazon, they typically take a cut of the sale price. When you sell at a Christmas market, you get to keep the full margin minus the booth fees, of course. Second, there's customer feedback in real time. Vendors can hear directly what people love, what they are confused by, what they want to see next year. That's market research that is invaluable and would typically cost thousands of dollars if they try to gather it through formal channels. Third, there's brand building. Direct engagement with customers help these businesses gather feedback and improve their offerings while fostering a sense of connection within the community. When customers meet the maker, they form that emotional connection that drive repeat purchases and word-of-mouth marketing. Fourth, there's email list building. Many smart vendors will collect email addresses at markets and build their customer list that would help them drive sales all year long. Christmas market also serves as a vital platform for local businesses and artisans, providing them with the unique selling opportunities and showcasing local crafts and products. Market typically curates vendors very carefully, and getting accepted into a prestigious Christmas market is like getting shelf space in the high-end department store. It's that stamp of quality that elevates your brand. Local food producers and artisans can showcase their goods and services, allowing them to compete with large retailers. Think about it. A one-person jewelry maker can set up a booth right next to where a major luxury brand might advertise. They are competing on equal footing in the eyes of the shoppers walking by. That level playing field is very rare in modern retail. Now here's where things get really interesting. The economic impact of Christmas market extends way beyond just what people spend at vendor booths. Another major impact is tourism. Because Christmas markets have become major tourist destinations in their own right, and people book weekend getaways specifically to visit them. In Quebec City, tourists spent about $250 million in December 2024 alone. Toronto's Distillery Winter Village attracts over 1 million visitors each season. 1 million people. To put that in perspective, Toronto receives about 26 million visitors annually, who spend about $8 billion, and a significant chunk of winter tourism is driven by events like the Distillery Winter Village. The Distillery Winter Village alone contributes $250 million to Toronto's economy from visitors outside the country, with over $50 million in tax revenue for Ontario. Toronto's Distillery Winter Village has been recognized as one of the best Christmas markets in the world by CNN Travel, putting Toronto on the global winter tourism map and competing with European destinations for international travelers. Let's break down what happens when tourists visit the Christmas markets. First, there's accommodation. In Toronto, visitor spending on accommodation accounts for 26% of total tourism spending. Hotels near Christmas market will typically see occupancy rates spike, and they can charge premium rates during peak weekends. And it's not just the big chain hotels, boutique hotels, bed and breakfasts, Airbnbs, all of them benefit. Second is dining. Dining accounts for 24% of visitor spending in Toronto. When a family visits the Christmas market, they are not just eating at the market stalls, they are having breakfast at a local cafe, grabbing lunch at a nearby restaurant, maybe dinner after the market closes. Cafes like Balzac Coffee Roasters in the Distillery District see lines stretching out the door during the Winter Village season. For many restaurants and cafe owners, the 7-week event helps sustain them through slower months in early winter. Third, there's transportation. Local and air transport accounts for another 20% of visitor spending. Taxi services, ride shares, public transit, parking lots, rental cars, all of these see increased revenue. Fourth, there's shopping beyond the markets. Shopping accounts for 13% of visitor spending. When tourists come for a Christmas market, they're not just shopping at the market. They're exploring surrounding areas, visiting local boutiques, shopping at grocery stores, buying souvenirs elsewhere. The Distillery District, for example, has more than 40 boutiques, galleries, and specialty shops that all see increased sales during the Winter Village period. Visitors are not just shopping at the market, they are eating at nearby restaurants, booking hotel rooms, using parking or ride-share services, shopping at retail stores in the area, visiting other local attractions. This is what economists call the multiplier effect. $1 of spending generating multiple dollars of economic activity. That means a dollar spent at a Christmas market does not just benefit the vendor, it ripples through the local bakery supplying bread to market food stalls, the flower shop providing decorations, the trucking company delivering supplies, the accountant managing vendor books, the graphic designer creating marketing materials, the insurance company covering event liability, and dozens of other businesses. Let's talk about municipal ROI, that's the return that cities get on their Christmas market investments. Because yes, cities invest significantly in supporting these markets. There's permit processing, road closures and traffic management, police presence and security, public transit adjustments, marketing support, and sometimes direct financial grants. But cities are also getting solid returns. They collect permit fees, vendor licensing fees, parking revenue, and most importantly, tax income from all that economic activity. The Distillery Winter Village alone generates $50 million in tax revenue for Ontario from one market over 7 weeks. That's not counting the permit fee vendors pay, the parking revenue from thousands of visitors, or the business license renewals from vendors who started their businesses at the markets. Beyond the direct revenue, there's also the marketing value. Every Instagram post tagged at a Christmas market, every media story, every word of mouth recommendation builds the city's brand as a winter destination. You can't buy that kind of organic promotion, and it continues to generate tourism interest long after the market closes. For cities, Christmas markets are investments that pay dividends far beyond the holiday season. Cities are actively investing in making their markets world-class attractions. And why? Because these markets have become a key component of winter tourism strategies. But it's not all glowing lights and hot chocolates.
Really? Really? You're doing the thing?
Christmas markets face real challenges, especially in today's economic climate. There's a part of weather volatility. Operating outdoors in Canadian winter is very high risk. Extreme cold can keep people home. You're basically at the mercy of Mother Nature. Then there's also the inflation impacts. Small businesses are facing declining revenue and higher costs. Business owners are experiencing declining foot traffic and also facing higher transportation and delivery costs. Import taxes have spiked prices for products like olive oil, coffee, kitchenware. Honestly, for everything. Consumers, on the other hand, are also watching their money more based on high unemployment in Canada and fear of trade disputes. When household budgets are tight, expensive artisan gifts at Christmas market simply become a luxury that many cannot afford. So when inflation hits, discretionary spending, like spending at Christmas markets, would usually be the first to go. And many customers are feeling very uneasy about their economic futures and cutting back hugely on less essential categories. There's also the part of market saturation. Some vendors have said that there are too many markets competing for the same customers and vendors. And when every neighborhood has a Christmas market, that special factor diminishes. There's also the competition factor. Small businesses have faced increasing competition from Amazon and other e-commerce giants in recent years. Because why walk through a cold Christmas market when you can order similar items online with free shipping and have them arrive in 2 days? Hello, Amazon Prime. This is the existential question every Christmas market faces. There's also the admission fee debate. Some Christmas markets have started charging admission fees to cover operating costs. Toronto's Distillery Winter Village charges $15 during peak time, and this has generated public questioning. There's tension here. Free markets get more visitors but struggle to cover costs. Paid admission generates revenue but also creates barriers and may reduce attendance. The economics and numbers have to work, but public perception of commercialization can damage the community goodwill that make Christmas markets special. Another challenge is in terms of sustainability concerns. Operating outdoor heated spaces, the waste from food vendors, the emission from transportation, these markets have created environmental impact that cities are increasingly scrutinizing. And then there's a question on gentrification. Who actually benefits from these markets? Are they pricing out local residents? Do they serve tourists while ignoring community needs? These are questions that cities need to grapple with. So here's the bottom line. Christmas markets have evolved from delightful holiday traditions into serious economic development tools for Canadian cities. We're talking about millions in tourism revenue, thousands of seasonal jobs, small businesses earning up to 50% of their annual income in 6 weeks, neighborhood revitalization, and municipal brand building. But still, sustainability is the question. With market saturation, affordability concerns, and climate challenges, will this growth continue, or are we approaching peak Christmas markets? What's clear for now is that these markets are powerful economic engines helping Canadian cities battle their toughest season, winter, by turning it into their biggest opportunity. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the economics of Christmas market, give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments which is your favorite Canadian Christmas market. If you are or have been a Christmas market vendor, I'd love to hear your experience as well. Was it worth it for you? And if you want to see my reviews of all the markets I visited this year, Distillery Winter Village, Montreal Christmas Market, Quebec City German Christmas Market, Elora, and Banff, check out my Christmas market playlist linked in the description box. Thanks for watching and see you soon.